This video is going to be on how to create a Word document and how to manipulate them and how to use all the different tools. Word documents can be a great tool for work, but it can also be a great tool in your personal life. They can be a great tool for communication, even for simple things like if you're like me and your handwriting is sloppy, just knowing how to use a Word document is great because if I have to write out something important that I need other people to read, I'd rather type it up because my handwriting is awful. Also, I tend to struggle with my spelling, and a Word document can actually correct your spelling for you, which is all pretty handy. So we're just going to go through right from how to open up the document and then how to manipulate all the different options. Okay, so this is the Word document. You say Word and then whatever version you have. In some computers, you'll see it down here at the taskbar. So you just click on that, and we'll wait for it to load. Then Word is now loading up. All right. So now that Word is started to load here, we'll just take a couple of seconds to kind of look at what your options are here. Um, when you first open up, you have options. You can do new. You can take a tour. So they do have like tutorials and whatnot. Just make that bigger. They do have different templates for different things right off the bat. So like you can see, here's a calendar. Here's a basic resume, so you could use it to make resumes. Here are more resumes. If you click templates will give you lots of different options. So depending on what you're trying to do, whether it's to make a calendar or whether you're making reports or maybe you're doing creative projects like certificates and party invitations they have down here. So these are all different options that you could use, or you can just start with a blank document. Here you have open documents, so when you click on this, it will give you a list of all of the what you have used recently. So I'm going to be using this document, so I already kind of pre-opened it. Um, so that's first, but it also has other things that I've been doing along the way, different things. So it just kind of depends on what you're doing. You can open a brand new document by clicking that white. If you just click blank document, but if you want to open one that you already been working on, like I said, the most recent ones will be at the top. So we're going to go ahead and open this one. So we're just going to click on it. And this is actually the document that I'm using for my lesson plan for today. So this is my basic class procedure that I have. So I printed up this part, and then we're going to scroll down here, and I have this other. It's a little poem that I just copy and pasted, just kind of show you how to edit the different options in Word. And I also want to like misspell some things so you can see. So if you type in something wrong, the great thing about Word is sometimes I will type things wrong because I'm not a great typist, or I'll misspell things because sometimes I struggle with spelling. But if you notice that's happening, you can just simply go back and fix it later. You'll know it happened because Word tells you that you misspelled something by these little zigzags at the bottom, these red lines. So you just right click on that. Maybe, there we go. And it will suggest the most likely options for what that could have been. So I might have been trying to type can't or cannot. So since cannot is a little bit more formal, we'll just turn it back to that. And I left out the O here wrong. So that's just a right click of the mouse. Right here you can see that the I should be capitalized because I is always capitalized. So right click that, and it even gives you a little definition down here, so that you can kind of get a sense of which word am I trying to use. Okay, so I want to start with just these basic tabs. This is just going to be basic stuff today, um, so you can see. We won't go through all the options in Word because they can get pretty fancy, but it's fine for most people to just pretty much use these bars here, and sometimes you'll use some of these other things. So we'll just start with like the basic, like how do you make things bold, how do you highlight things, that kind of thing. So there's a couple ways that I can make things bold. So this first one is the B is for bold, right? They tell you for each thing. I could use the keyboard, or I could just use the mouse. Usually I just use the mouse. But if I wanted to use the keyboard, I can go Control B. And see, now I made that bold, or I can go Control B again to make it unbold. So all you got to do is just highlight whatever it is you want to make bold and make it bold. Okay. Um, Sometimes you want to stress something for dramatic effect to kind of, or to bring it out in what you're writing. Um, like in Facebook, you would just write in all caps. The traditional way to kind of stress something is you click italics. So now you can see that that is different. I give you directions, but I cannot tell you where to lead you. So it kind of changes the feeling of what you just wrote by clicking italics. So again, I just highlight it, click the I, and that undoes it, or if I click it again, it does it again. So that's the italics button, okay? Um, there are different options for underlining. So let's talk about underlining. So U is for underline. You can see they've got the handy little icon with the line underneath. So I can underline things. You can also do different things if you want to underline. So if you want to stress different things in different ways, you can change how you underline things. They have more underlines, um, all kinds of options, which you really don't need. For most people, it's simple just to use this one. You can change the color if you really want to stress something. So again, underlining can be a way to stress things. So if you really want to make this stress, you go what? Underline, italics, bold. Okay. So again, to do that, I'm just using the mouse I just click where I want to start, and then drag. Okay. Click and drag. The other way that you could do this is if you could go, let's say I want to just recreate that sentence. I don't know if I can even remember what it was, but let's say I want to make it bold. So having not typed it yet, but the cursor's here. So if I click on the B, I cannot make you love yourself. Okay, so notice it corrected my I automatically, and because it was not capitalized when I typed it. And also notice it's going to correct a couple things here. Now it's checking grammar because I did a couple things wrong in the sentence. All right, and it's going to tell me exactly what it is. But if I right-click on this, so you're just going to click on the mouse and right-click. So, see, it's showing you that I left out a space between close and but, and really, but should also not be capitalized, but it didn't catch that. All right, so that's your basic these three are probably going to be the bold, the underline, and the italics if you use anything to just make a basic Word document. Those are going to be your basic options. It's done loading, so we'll edit that bit out. You do have other fancy things that you can do with your documents. Let's talk about fonts first. So maybe this is your default font. Usually it's Calibri body. I think it's default for everything. But let's say I want to change that up. I can change it for the whole thing by just going like this. I'm going to just click here and drag all the way down. And I have all these different fancy options that I can click by clicking this little arrow here. Okay, so let's say I want to change it to Times New Roman. I believe this is what the New York Times uses for their font. You have Arial, which gives it a little bit lighter feeling. You have Veranda. Um, can't characterize all these things. So it just gives you, what do you want to look at? What kind of impression are you trying to make on people with your writing? The great thing is you can do whatever you want. You have a myriad of options. Usually the most common ones, or the ones that you use most, will be up top. So luckily that way you don't have to go searching for it. Some of them get ridiculous, like trying to see, they get funny. Um, you can even write in cursive by just clicking that option. They have a couple of those to make it look like script, which to me sort of defeats the purpose of making a Word document. But if you're trying to make cards, or like you know, Christmas cards or birthday cards, I can see writing fancy like that. You can make it look scary. Um, so just by changing those little options, you can even do that when you start. So let's say I want to add more information. I'm just gonna hit enter, make a new space, and then use my cursor to go back up here. And let's say I want to let's do chills. And I can make it red, make it like really chilly, and maybe I want to change the font. So this is how you change the font size here. You're just gonna, so the bigger the number, the bigger the font, right? So if I go 38, I go chills. So you know it's like a horror show, right? I can change it to different things. I can really even just start right from there and go whatever. And again, if I misspell it, it's going to go, what are you trying to write? So you right click on there and it says, oh, you got options. Was I trying to write help? Was I trying to write hello? Was I trying to write hells? I can't, it's kind of funny because I think it must judge from context because I wrote chills. And now it's trying to decide, do I want, something else that's similar to that. So you can, like, if you decide, well, that's not big enough, you can highlight it again and change the font. You can actually even type in your own. If you want to make it gigantic, you can type in 100 and see now it's big. So that's your basic, basic fonts and font sizes. You can also, over here, you can get fancy. So if I highlight this bit and then I click on here, you have all different options to change that up. See how it's changing the color and the fatness, or you can make it transparent. You can make it three-dimensional. So probably to show you this, I would make this bigger. And then if I want to change these fonts, see, now you get a good sense of what that really looks like. And that can look really fancy. It kind of, makes it pop if you're doing different things. And I really wish there was a way to make those doors not slam so hard. You have different outline options. These things you could just play with. I'm not going to show you them all. The best way that I have found to learn how to do these things is to watch a short video on how to do them and then go play with them. Some of those fonts don't do anything. You can also, so this one changes the text. You also have you have a highlighter here, so you can change the color. Let's say you're trying to stress something. So this says I can allow you freedom. So maybe I want to highlight that so that someone reads it more, it pops, or you can even change the color of that. Maybe. So I'll highlight it first, then it's not readable in that color. So, nope, go back to yellow. So go highlight, yellow. So there's your highlighter, just like if you're using a highlighting pen. Those are your basic options. I'm probably going to just stick to there for now. Oh, one last thing. Let's check out paragraph. Okay, so if you highlight a segment here, we'll say that part, you're going to right click and you click paragraph. Now, a lot of these options that we looked at up here show up here if you just right click. But anyway, so I'm going to look at paragraph, which is how this is laid out. Right now it's standard left, everything you type starts on the left, but maybe you're writing a title or something like that, you want it to be centered. So if I do that, then see now it goes centered, right? So that's pretty much how that works. So now it's centered. If I wanted to go right, which would sort of be silly here, but it's not going to judge you if you want to be silly. Then it can be right. There are ways to change the margins and stuff. I'm not going to bother with that today. So that's pretty much the basics. So what I'd like you to do is, everybody probably has, if you have a Windows-based computer, you probably have, which most people do, you're going to just open the Word document like I showed you, type something up, or you could even, if you just want to get something off the internet, I'll show you how to copy and paste something. Okay, so if you just want to make some quick text without having to type, here's what you do. You open your Word document first. It's a blank Word document. I went over to Google and I just typed in poems, and I went to Libs as poems. Now, if you do this and you claim it's your doing, that's called plagiarism. But if you're just using it to practice Word document, it's fine. So I'm just going to highlight any text. Doesn't really even matter, right? And I'm going to copy by right-clicking. So I left-click and highlight, right-click, copy, hit copy. Then I'm going to go to my Word document. I'm going to go to my Word document, and I'm going to right-click, go paste. Now you have this text here, and you can highlight it and change the font size, mess with it, play with it. The best way to learn is to play with it. So I want you to make your own little Word document, play with the effects, change things around, and then I would love to see what you do. So you can either email that to me, or you could take a picture of it and send it to me, either through Google Classroom or whatever. But I am kind of looking forward to see what you create. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I look forward to seeing, like I said, what you do with it. And we'll talk to you later.